Alright guys, so we're ready to install the wiring harness into the 4Runner. Here's a little tidbit trick that I'm going to show you guys. Take a roll of duct tape, painter's tape, a screwdriver, or something that you can pop this dash out with. You don't necessarily have to pull this whole dash panel off. To get it out, you're going to have to remove this entire center console piece because it overlaps the bottom dash panel right here. So there's like a little hook that this goes back into, so you'll have to pop all that out. If you want to, have at it. It's not necessary. So the only places we need to get to are going to be right here at the ignition harness, which we're going to run the wire down and to the left, and then our home run is going to be right back over in here. So that's it. Everything is right here. There's no need to remove it unless you absolutely want to. So now we're ready to install the main ignition harness. This is located right underneath the key cylinder, and it's this big white connector with some little wires and then the red, green, black heavy gauge wires. There's a tab on top. Push it down, pull this out, and now you can plug our harness in. So it obviously mates right to it. Our factory style connector goes right back into the factory socket. Make sure you push it in where it gets clicked. The wire loom that comes down, we're gonna go ahead and fold this up and over. There's a lot of room up in here. You might have to get a little creative and go behind this, but there is a lot of room over here to zip tie it to, so the tilt lever won't hit it, the wire won't get in the way of the column going back on and all that good stuff. So you're gonna zip tie this down the factory harness, and then it's gonna come over to the left like so, and then I'll get that zip tied and show you guys what it's gonna look like. So we got it zip tied all the way down, and then you can see it breaks over to the left there. I came behind this wire, so now we are just kind of hanging out right here until we get the rest of the harness put in. The next connector that we're gonna use is gonna be this 30-pin BCM right here. It's typically the middle connector. The trim level of your 4Runner will determine what this looks like right here. I know the 4Runner, Highlander, Siennas, it kind of has a variation, but there's only one connector that our 30 pin's gonna fit in. So if your layout back here looks a little different, don't be concerned. There's only one connector. Unplug them all until you find one that fits. That's the easiest way. So you cannot plug it into a wrong one. Okay, so we got this unplugged. The other thing that we're gonna do is, if you guys can see this way down in here, this OBD2 connector right here. You're basically gonna pop it out of this housing. There's a tab on each side. You just need to push one in, and then it pushes out through the back side. Now you're gonna hook our OBD2 in just like you did the ignition harness. There's a male and a female side. Our white connector fits right back into the mounting tab. It looks OEM. You won't even know that it's there. So before I put this in the car, I'm going to show you guys a few things about it. This is the 30-pin BCM connector that we just unplugged. This is the OBD2 connector that we just unplugged. We have a red and a white connector up here that plug into the remote start module. And then we have a medium connector that plugs into the remote start module. And then we have an orange wire, which is needed to be hooked up if you have a OEM alarm system on the 4Runner. This orange wire will disarm the alarm, let the vehicle crank, and then the alarm will become active after the vehicle's running. So if you start your vehicle and the horn honks, you need to hook this orange wire up, and we will show you where that needs to go when we get to that point. Also on this harness, you have a 12-pin connector that is not used. So what we do is just coil it up and zip tie it right to this harness here, so it's all nice and neat. So this is actually for a Sienna that is obviously not required on the 4Runner. Alright guys, so here we go. We're gonna plug the harness in. One thing I'm gonna tell you guys, there's two wires that you need to tap here if you have the OEM alarm. If you don't have OEM alarm, there's only one wire that you need to tap, which is this blue one. Okay, so for the alarm disarm, if you guys have a factory alarm, you're gonna use this 30-pin connector that we unplugged, and this is the connector that our T-harness mates into. You're basically, I'm gonna chop this off and solder the connection, but for video purposes and purposes of our kit, I'm gonna show you. It's pin 24, which is that gray one right there. So tap our deal on there. If you have OEM alarm, if you do not have OEM alarm, don't worry about it. Okay, so the second wire that we're gonna tap up here, and it's easier to do this before you start plugging everything in and get your bundle of wire and remote start module back in here. So I just went ahead and tapped it, and we'll plug it in before we program the module. The next wire that we need to grab is this blue wire. We are just left of our 30 pin, and you can see if you look on the far right hand column, it is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, fifth one. And what this is so we can remote start off of our factory key fob. This is our 3-lock activation wire. So all right, well, let's get to it. So I got the 30-pin connector plugged in, the T-harness. Plug the factory style there. The factory connector goes into our male, and then you can see our disarm tap here. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and hook that up, which is the orange wire that was bundled up. Just undo it. Strip back the insulation about 3/4 of an inch or so. Twist the wire, fold it in half, and then use our supplied little male here, male spade connector, insert it, and then go ahead and crimp it on. Make sure you give it a tug test, make sure it's on tight, and then this plugs right into that black tap right there. So just plug it on in like so, and now our 30-pin BCM connections are done. And you can see that I zip tied the non-used connector here for the Sienna just to the harness, so that way it's all nice and neat. And this will all be bundled up nice and neat back here on the left hand side anyway when we're done, but we don't do that until we install everything and test the remote start in the event that we need to move something or alter something. So the other connector is the OBD2, and this goes right down to the right of the BCM. There's an opening and it will drop down to the floor. So let me get it down there and I'll show you that. Alright, so we got it down here. I got our harness plugged into the factory connector, and then we're going to go ahead and take our white one and come up behind this bracket and poke it in. So we got the OBD2 connected down there. One thing I will note is pull the slack back up towards the home run area, and I actually stuck a zip tie, if you can see this right here, around the OBD2 harness. You just don't want it to get down there and in the way of the emergency brake. So just secure it, make sure it's not loose, make sure it's away from all loose moving parts, and you'll be good to go. Alright guys, so we are ready to program the module. I'll make a note, the big white one is going to be the last connector that we plug into the module, so go ahead and set that one just off to the side for the moment. On the back side of the module, you're going to have a red connector and a white connector, so go ahead and plug those two in. Red is obviously on the far end, the white one goes right next to it. The next blue one in would be for like our phone module that would plug right into here, but the rest of these are going to stay empty at the moment. On the front side, you're going to have the medium connector, so go ahead and plug that one in. That's the connector that has the orange pigtail on it. And then we have the big white one right here. So what we're going to do when we plug the big white one in, this has our power and ground in it obviously, is on the back side of this module there's a little button next to the little yellow wires that are cut. So you're going to push and hold this button. You're going to insert the white connector, and you'll notice these lights start to cycle through the colors. We want to release it when the two outside lights, red and blue, are illuminated. So as you can see, we got blue, red, amber, red, blue, release. These will stay red and blue until we put the key on, which don't do that just yet. So solid red and blue, you're going to tap this button 2 times. 1, OBD2. Now the lights will flash. You grab the key, put it in the ignition and turn it on. Don't start the car, but the lights will go out and we're waiting for it to program. We're waiting for the blue light to flash rapidly, and that means programming is complete, which is right there. So go ahead and turn the key off. Our module is complete. So that loose green wire that we had plugged in back there at the BCM, we're gonna go ahead and strip the other end of it about 3/4 of an inch as well. Twist it, fold it in half, and then it's gonna go into our little module here, the little green pigtail that comes off of it. So just match the green wires up here. You're gonna crimp it on and give it another tug test to make sure we got a good solid connection. And then this little 3-pin connector will go right here. So you got big white one, medium white one, and there's a black 3-pin port right there, and that's where that goes. Okay, so everything's good to go now. Let's get out of the car and test this baby out. Alright guys, so the 18 4Runner is buttoned up. The door is locked right now. It's been locked for about 5 minutes, so the OEM alarm is set. I think it only takes about 30 to 45 seconds for it to set. So we're gonna go ahead and hit the lock button 3 times on the key. So you hit 1, 2, 3. The parking lights will come on. I don't know if you guys can see that. The doors will unlock, which disarms the alarm. The ignition comes on, it starts, and then the doors relock. So now we're gonna grab the key, and you're gonna hit unlock. The doors will unlock and you can get in. We're still running, obviously. The remote start will not shut off when the doors open. And then we are in park. So we're gonna go ahead and put the key in, turn it 2 clicks forward, and then when you push the brake pedal, the parking lights will turn off, the radio will come on, and now we can put it in drive, reverse, whatever you need to do, and the car's still running and you can just drive off. So you never have to restart it once you remote start it. And if you guys have any questions, let us know.